Hello, I am Brenda Moore, Associate Professor at Texas Women's University in Houston, Texas. And I greatly appreciate this opportunity to present participatory action at your conference, New Approaches Toward Excellence in Healthcare. I am honored by this invitation. So today I will be talking about participatory action research. Our objectives are define participatory action research approach. We will be using PAR as an abbreviation, describe the role of the researcher and community partner, determine the research design by using an action reflection approach, 4, construct a data collection method using PAR, and finally, design a pilot project using the PAR approach. I hope after viewing this PowerPoint, you'll think about designing a pilot project. So PAR is an approach to research. It's not actually a design or a method. It's an approach in which we use the same principles and practices of originating and designing, conducting and analyzing research. Using PAR, we still use some of the same data collection methods such as discussion, interviews, focus groups, diagramming, video, environmental data, and so on. There are many names that have participatory in the title. Participatory appraisal, participatory learning and action, or community-based participatory research. However, PAR is distinct. Some of the principles of PAR: it is driven by participants rather than an outside sponsor, funder, or an academic. However, academics and funders tend to be part of the process, but it's actually driven by the community or some organization that has an area of concern. It offers a democratic model of who can produce, own, and use the knowledge. It's collaborative at every stage. So you involve the community members at every stage of planning, discussion, while you're pooling skills, working together, and networking. It's intended to result in some action, change, or improvement on the issue being researched. And this is important. Oftentimes we talk about our research and discovering something, but with PAR, it has to result in some kind of action or something new is going to be happening. So using the PAR approach, I would say, is for a seasoned researcher. This is quite involved. It takes a long time, and you need community resources to use PAR. It's excellent. I mean, it's a great approach, and you'll see that as we talk about it, but it is best for a seasoned researcher to be part of this process. So I'm going to go through several stages that are typical in a PAR approach. I'll use the stage on the left to define what we're doing, or define that approach, and on the right is what we are doing using this approach here. So the first thing is action. So first action, establish relationships with a common agenda and decide on the issue. So what happened here? A community member approached us and they told us that Black women in the US are hesitant to take the COVID-19 vaccine. And so this became our common issue, or our area of concern that we all agreed on. Nobody knows why right now that Black women are hesitant to take the COVID-19 vaccine. So our job is to find out why this is. First reflection: consider research designs, ethics, knowledge, and accountability. So we brought together the community member and 2 academics to discuss our shared knowledge, possible research design, and the ethics of our approach. In the end, we decided on a mixed methods convergent design, meaning we're going to collect quantitative and qualitative data simultaneously. Our second action: build relationships, identify roles and responsibility, collectively design the research process, the tools, and the potential outcomes. So after talking to our community member, we decided together that we would invite groups of Black women to discuss their experience with COVID-19 disease and the vaccine. Because COVID-19 is such a huge topic for all of us, we really were not prepared and we didn't think it was a good idea to only collect the quantitative data, really believing that their COVID-19 stories are important. So we are going to get approximately 70 women together. These will be in groups of probably someplace between 5 to 7 women per group, and we are going to do focus group discussions, collecting their lived experience as the qualitative part of this, and having them write the survey questions that will be part of the quantitative data. The women will be known as members of advisory boards. It'll be the advisory board members that help us write the survey question and share their experience. The second reflection, we should consider the research question design, working relationship, and information required. Our example, we clarified the roles of the advisory board members and considered the need to invite women of all economic and social levels. Initially, we were only contemplating talking to women that were professional and educated. But then we realized that that really isn't a good approach. We really need women from all economic and social levels. So then we determined how to reach out to all kinds of women in all areas of work and education. The third action, begin to work on feeding research back to all participants and plan for feedback on process and findings. So here we will finalize the question and build the survey. You can imagine that asking 70 women what questions should be on the survey, we are going to end up with far too many questions for a reasonable survey at a reasonable length. I mean, you can imagine that it's simply going to be too long. So we need to come back to the advisory board members and talk about what the questions are, what other group have suggested, and we need to move all these questions down to a reasonable number. And we actually have not decided what that number is because we need to have the community board members talk to us about this. The third reflection, consider how things are working. Do we need to make a change? Has participation worked? What else do we need to do? So in here, we're going to continue to gather the qualitative data and work with board members to plan the survey rollout and participation. So we need to know how our advisory board members will reach people in their own community to have that final survey answered. Here's a great graphic, I think, to help us understand PAR approach a little bit better. You'll notice in the bottom left-hand corner, it says engage with real-world setting and situation. This is where it started with our interaction with a community member that said Black women are not taking the COVID-19 vaccine. Then we move on to defining the issue, initial observations, and existing data. At this point, we all pooled our knowledge together and talked about what we knew about Black women and COVID-19 vaccine. We looked at literature. We looked at government reports from the CDC and the World Health Organization that represent the United States to look at what was already out there and do we still have a question to ask? And we still do have a question to ask. Then we moved on to planning, action, and intervention. It's at this point where we are collecting the lived experience, the qualitative data from the women that are in the advisory board members, and we are collecting questions to be built into the survey. Taking action and intervening. Here, we will be deploying that survey to the Black women in Texas. We're going to start in Texas and then we will go from there, but we'll start in Texas. And so this will be everybody taking the survey. The advisory board members will be helping women in their own community to take the survey, whether it's encouraging them to click on a link or to take the hard copy survey. Then we move down to analyzing and reflecting on action and intervention. Here we will look at our qualitative data and see what themes and sub-themes we're finding. In addition, We're going to look at the response from the survey and see what our next steps should be. So here we move back, the arrow continues to the next circle, re-engage with the real world setting and situation. So here we will decide if we need to, again, collect more information. Do we need to work with different women? Have we reached the women that we want to reach with the survey? And then continue to go from there. So our final project, here it's written out a little differently. Hopefully this will make sense to you. So our research question, why are Black women hesitant to take COVID-19 vaccine? Our design is a mixed method convergent design, collecting quantitative and qualitative data, this is a non-experimental research project, and we will be using a PAR approach. Participants, adult Black women greater than 18 years of age, and our participants will be approximately 70 women, and these women will be these would be advisory board members, and they will help us to determine the data and collect it. Data collection will be from focus groups, and these will be the advisory board members. They will share their experience with COVID-19, and they will create survey questions directed at Black women in the community. The results, the survey will be shared with hundreds of Black women in Texas and possibly Southeast United States. Our findings. We hope our findings lead to an understanding of the lived experience of COVID-19 for Black women, why they hesitate to take the vaccine, and eventually help us find ways to encourage vaccine acceptance. This is the reference I used for this study. This reference is actually very good, and it does walk you through step-by-step parts of the PAR approach, and extremely helpful. Again, thank you very much.